everyone, it's JG here with Earth 5D Ascension School, back for another teaching where you are the light, the path, and the way forward, friends. How are you today? I'm so excited to get into a topic that's so near and dear to my heart, and let's get into it. I wanted to talk about the Christ consciousness and what that really means right now on Earth, right, in 2022 on this beautiful planet. And so to begin, I just wanted to frame out a little bit of my story. It's been a while since I've discussed it, and so I think it helps to bring context to your own life and understand that even though I'm here on YouTube and I have a tarot channel and I'm discussing, spiritual things, the spiritual things that I discuss are based on my own experiences dealing with my own life, right? Dealing with the family that I was born into, the experiences that I experienced, and how I worked through that experience to gain knowledge to help me prosper in my life and not let myself be stuck or a victim. And so even though things that happened to me was a victimization kind of thing, it doesn't mean that I stayed in that energy, right? And so whatever you've gone through in your life, whatever kind of hardship, because the earth, when we come here, isn't exactly easy, right? There's energy here that's heavy. There are people here who are doing things that are terrible, right? That are not good for other people. But that does not mean that you have to stick in that energy and stay there and be a victim of it. Because at the end of the day, and this is the essence of the teaching today, is that you are love and light. That is who you are in your very being. And it is that Christ consciousness, the essence of who you are, that connection, that oneness with God that can never be taken from you, no matter what's happened to you. So, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and I had all these spiritual gifts, but they, at the time, it just was way too far out. My parents were basically yuppies, right? And it was just way too far out to accept that I was different. In fact, me being different was more of like a heavy burden on them. So it wasn't like, oh, I could just go out and be myself and talk about the things that I saw and experienced and felt in a way that was received well. And so because of that lack of acceptance of kind of like the essence of who I am, I turned eventually to drugs, just hanging out with really negative people, like, heavy metal, and like that heavy burden of like that death metal, and like at the hardest times, like hating myself, hurting myself, cutting myself, like those type of things actually happened. Okay, so but what also happened was I had a spiritual awakening, and through the prayers and support of my family that had changed from my childhood, we'd all begin to evolve, and we'd all begin to change, and there was a lot of prayer coming towards me, and from that prayer, I believe that I was able to get lighter and lighter. And then eventually I had a spiritual awakening where the Christ consciousness came to me one day. I wasn't like a near-death experience or anything. It was just me enjoying an afternoon on my front porch, probably after a run, because I love to run. And at the time I was like running maybe 20 miles a week or more, 25 miles a week. So long story short, because I like to keep it brief, I had a spiritual awakening, and I felt God's love for me, source energy. I identified it as the Christ energy. I knew it was the Christ energy without knowing. I just knew, and I'd never felt it before in this lifetime, but you remember these types of things. So that's what happened. So my journey since then has been a spiritual journey, and meaning that I've been conscious of certain things about life, right? And so it's been through the ups and downs of my own spiritual journey. I'm the mother of 3 beautiful children, aging from 20 to 7 years old. I've had a lot of different experiences that have helped shape who I am and have solidified the fact that I know that no matter how dark things can be in your life, that you can free yourself of the burden of those dark energies. And so how do you do that? You simply, or not so simply, remember who you are. You remember that you're a light being having a human experience. So you are a light being, you are having a human experience, and there is no separation between you and source energy. There is no separation. So all of the other stuff is an illusion. There's an illusion that somehow being the material world and experiencing the material things here somehow make you separate from God, source energy, and it's not true. So nothing can separate you from God, source energy. Nothing can. You are that energy. It's in every fiber of your being. And so when things happen to you that feel negative, or when things happen to you when you're in a bad mood, or negative thoughts come upon you, when you remember the essence of who you are, and you are one with God, you are the God of your reality. No one could step in and be that for you. That is who you are. That's the essence of who you are. Then you can overcome any negative thoughts. And you can train yourself to be aware of your thoughts. And when you don't like them, when they're hurting you, when they're making you suffer, then we know that that is not the Christ consciousness. So easy way to discern, right? Any situation. Does it feel like a burden? Is it burdening you? Is it heavy? Is it heavy thoughts? Is it a heavy thought form, which is actually an energy weighing on you, right? It's a heavy thought form or energy weighing on you. That is not the Christ consciousness, because Jesus says, my yoke is easy and my burden light. Okay, so the light energy, that's the Christ consciousness. And it's not like you have to be a Pollyanna and not look around you and say, oh, I'm going to put my head in the sand. I'm not going to see all the dark things happening around me. It's not that. You can be an observer without judging. You're just observing and like, whoa, that's heavy energy. Yeah, that's probably not something I feel like I want to get into. That's hurting me. It's making me suffer. That energy, taking it on, processing it, thinking about it over and over, that's hurting me. So I'm not going to do that. Okay? So what's the alternate to that energy? What's the alternative to that energy? The alternative to that energy is to free yourself of it by understanding who you are, knowing the truth of who you are as a beautiful, worthy being who is more than allowed and willing to, more than allowed and given permission to live a life that is beautiful to you, that is comforting to you, that gives you joy and produces more light. So we are implicitly connected with all of each other.
I love you.
Love you too, buddy. I'm gonna list my book up here. It's called The Consciousness Revolution. In it, what I help to emphasize is, and reiterate, is that we are all one. We are all connected. We are all one in our being, in our light bodies. We're all one, connected by a confluence of energy. And no matter how much heaviness it comes upon us, it cannot separate those threads. So even though you might be feeling alone at times, or just so maybe heavily burdened by humanity, or just what's going on in the news and what you hear going on outside of us, remember that we have a oneness with each other, and it's through that oneness that we are loved and love. And so it might not seem like it because of media forces and other forces out there that are like putting heavier chunks of energy around us, but nothing can separate us. Nothing can separate our oneness as humans. So we have great strength in those billions of people that are one together, right? Also, no matter how much darkness has happened to you, it doesn't change the essence of the light that you are. It's in every fiber of your being. Nothing can change that. So I hope this gives you comfort. I hope it to help to remind you of who you are as a light being. Hope to remind you of where to go when you feel lost. Like, you don't need theories. You don't need heavy theories. You don't need to burden it, make learning and awakening even more of a burden. So remember, Jesus says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So try to remember that when you're going through your awakening in your consciousness, as your consciousness is growing, as you're going through your awakening, that, just be discerning of the energy you decide to take on. Because it's not, like I said, like you have to ignore. You don't. At the same time, you being the light that you are, you identifying who you are as the light, creates more of it. It's in your essence. So it's not what we say, it's what we do. And that's what creates greater light. So me living my life, showing up with a smile, showing up with an open, kind heart, changes people. It's the light that I am, that I allow to shine through me, that changes people. It's not what I say to them, it's how I live my life. And that's why it's so important to show up like as you are. Like if you ran into me in the grocery store, this is what I'd look like. I don't have filters or makeup. And it's not because I don't like to look good. It's because I think there's something very important about showing up as you are, right? And that's just the day and age we're in. So it's somehow, I think it's important to reveal your truth in like every aspect. So ask questions, please, because it helps me to understand what you guys want to hear and talk about. Please ask questions, please leave comment. I care about how you feel. And that's what this is all about, is reminding you that you are the light. You are the light. You are the love. And nothing can take that away from you. So I'm going to say a prayer for us. So I'm going to say a prayer for us. Okay, so to help remind you. So we just thank you, Spirit, for everyone here in whatever state we're in. Like, I am not perfect. I yell at my kids. I make mistakes. I do things. I get mad. I do things that aren't perfect, but that's okay, because I'm human. And no one's here judging me or keeping a scorecard, right? So just know that you don't have to be perfect. It's ridiculous. Every spiritual teacher knows that we're all human. Well, I hope they know that we're all human and there's no amount of perfection we're looking for here. It's just about remembering the light that we are. We're trying to light this place up, trying to light Mother Earth up. So we just thank you, Spirit, for bringing everyone here in this current state that they're in. Whether they're happy or sad or thriving or not thriving, whether they feel blocked or burdened or light and joyful, we just ask that their consciousness continues to grow into love, into understanding the light that we are, as connected to source energy, as one with source energy, as many gods of our reality, so that everyone here and others like us have the courage to move forward, to be their authentic true self, to live the light that they are, and create more joy and beauty here in the material realm. And so we just ask that everyone has the courage and the heart and the ambition and the strength to move forward in that light. So we just ask this in body and mind and spirit, through all time and space and consciousness. It's done, it's done, it's done. And so it is. All right, guys. Love you. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.